Hi all, once again welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Imani and today we'll be solving a question from Codility, a problem which is called string symmetry point. Okay, let's start. So we're told to write a function that giving a string s, it returns the index counting from 0 of a character such that the part of the string to the left of that character is a reversal of the part of the string to its right. The function should return -1 if there is no such index exists. So we're told to note that reversing an empty string, a string whose length is 0, gives an empty string. Okay, so reversing an empty string gives an empty string. Now we have been given an example here, race car. The function should return 3 because the substring to the left of the character e at index 3 is rack and the one to the right is car. Okay, so it looks like the e is at index 3, so let's look 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that the substring to the left of character e and the one to the right of character e, they're all the same. And we're also told that given a string x, the function should return 0 because both substrings are empty. So substrings left to the x and right to the x are empty, so the function should return 0. Now we're told to write an efficient algorithm for the following assumption: that the length of the string s is within the range 0 to 2 million. Okay, let's start by creating a plan, a solution for this problem. So let's include the comments here and say, okay, now we know the input for us in this problem is the string s. Okay, and the output expected is we have to return the index of a character. So we have to return the index of the character in the string such that we have to return the index of the character in the string such that so it's such that part of the string to the left of that character is a reversal of the part of the string of the part of the string to its right. Okay, now you have been given an example that we have a race car here, race car. Okay, now if you look at RAC and CAR, so the first character in race car is the same as the last character in the string. The second one is the same as the second to the last, so the second after the last, so after the last going back. And what I'm talking about is that, for example, we have R and R are the same, A and A the same, C and C are the same. Okay, so we have a character in the middle, E. So all elements, the reversal of the elements of the left side of the character E is the same as the right side of the character E. Now in this case we have to return the index of which E belongs to. In this case we have to return 3 because E belongs to 3. Now what does that tell you? I'll tell you that E, look at E, is like in the middle of the two substrings. Okay, now in this case is that to be able to get a character in the middle, that its length should not be like when the length of the string is divided by 2, it should not be 0. To be able to get a character that we can observe its left side and its right side, we need to make sure that the length of the string, when divided by 2, it should not bring a remainder of 0. Now if the remainder is 0 after dividing the length of the string by 2, we then have to return -1, because in that case there is no such index existing. So we can also say if there is no such index, if there is no such index existing, we then return -1. Okay, so yep, in our case here we've already talked about that. First we check the size of the string by returning -1 if when divided by 2 gives a remainder of 0. Okay, now after looking at this case, we can also as our second step, we can also iterate through all the characters in the string. Okay, except iterate all the characters in the string, and then while we are iterating through the characters in the string, we check if the first element is equal to the last element or character in the string, and basically continuing to do the same for the remaining characters. So we start with the first and the last, then the second and the second to the last, the third one, the third to the last, and we check now if we find if there is a character that is not equal to the character in the opposite side, we then return -1. See what I mean by saying this. But if this one that don't, or all these conditions don't exist, we finally return the index value of the middle element. So in this case, the index value of the middle element will be obtained by dividing the size of the array with 2 in integer form. So let's see how this question can be solved. So in this case, since we are using string, we are not using any vector arrays here. Okay, so let's start by solving it. Now in case we want to also just print something, we can include the iostream library to be able to see the output using names space std. Okay. So we can start by saying, first let's have variable n. Now this variable n is in integer form. This variable n will store the size of the string. Okay, store the size of the string. Now we can say that if the size of the string when divided by 2 gives a remainder of 0, that means that we have to return -1, because we won't be able to find the middle element where we can check its both sides, characters found in both of its sides, because the length, when the length is divided by 2 and gives us a remainder of 0, that means, yeah, we won't be able to find the middle character where we can check both of its sides. Now we can, after doing this, we can also iterate through the string. In case this condition is not true, we can have a variable I. Inside this variable I, we can iterate through the first element of the string till the last element of the string. Okay, and also keep on increasing. Now we assign I to 0 first, and we check if I is within the size of n. Then if this is true, we check if the current character is not equal to the last character of the string. Okay, in our case here it's n, the last character of the string. If it's not equal to the last character of the string, but also since we'll be going backwards as well, like from the last character to the second last, we'll also subtract I to be able to go backwards. So if the current character is not equal to the opposite character on the opposite side of the middle element or the middle character, we then return -1, since we won't be able to obtain to be able to fulfill the conditions that the characters should be the same. But if this condition is not fulfilled, then we just return. Now in our case here, the value of the middle character. Now the middle character is obtained by dividing the size of the string by 2. Yep, and let's run the code and see if we are correct. correct. Yeah, it's we have successfully take the test cases, and this is the code. And yes, let's test it by submitting task. Yep, yep, the score is 100%. Yeah, that's 100%, and see you in the next one.